Hi, I'm Thomas Rees, and in this video I'm going to show you my polymerclay oven. This is the oven I use to fire all of my pieces. It's about 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. I think it might be a little taller than 3 foot on height, but that's internal dimensions. And after I built it, I wish I would have went larger pretty much right from the get-go, because it's difficult to get large pieces in and out without, bumping them into the sides and whatnot. So anyway, as far as the heat element, the door and the control unit, which is located over here on the side, all of these parts came from one oven. The important thing when you put it together is to make sure that you get all the wiring put back together where it was originally taken from, or at least all the terminals in the right spot. So let me open it up here. And the door, by the way, is just some really simple hinges you find in the hardware section at Home Depot, Lowe's, any basic home improvement store. And 2 of them suffice to hold the door. So, and this is the door of the standard oven, mounted sideways and screwed to a piece of plywood. In fact, the whole exterior could be made out of plywood, or any, because it doesn't ever get hotter than maybe 100 degrees. So that might save some time and energy for somebody who isn't real familiar with working with metal. So we're going to open it up here. So, you can kind of see here, this is a 2x6 actually mounted, and this was done as a prototype. I didn't want to put a lot of time and effort into building it if it wasn't going to work. So I more or less threw it together in a weekend. It's not much to look at, but it does do the job. And the top, ideally the top should have been built out of the same material, but again, I was trying to, make sure it was going to work before I invested a lot of time and money into it. So, as far as the internal structure or part of the oven goes, I use this is just galvanized steel siding or roofing. Again, found at any home improvement store or any metal supply, store. Anyway, so I have, this is just any given time I have insulation laying around from parts of it, but these are just porcelain tiles, just standard porcelain tiles. Get them for, I think this is $3, and it holds up beautifully to the heat. And you can see that the element heats them up quite hot and burns any liquid Sculpey that drips off. So here's all 4, or 3 I should say, but typically I have 4 of them in here, and it's gotten a lot of garbage and stuff on the ground, doesn't really affect anything. But here's the heat element down here, you can see, but this is just L-bracket steel, and I just cut them to length, and this is aluminum L-bracket. And the important thing is to put them put them parallel. Basically, that can be achieved by just making both of them level. As long as they're both level, the porcelain tiles should fit fine, or sit flat and all in one plane. But I have 2 different heights. This is the lower height, and then I have an upper height here, and I'm probably going to put a 3rd one until I build a new oven, which I plan on doing in the next few months. But it would be nice if I had varying heights, because ideally you want to get as far away from the element as possible, because at the source you're getting some pretty hot infrared waves, so that can burn your sculpture. I did incorporate in a circulating fan, which you can see up here. It pulls the air in or blows it out. You can do either. and then that's so basically an inhale and an exhale, or vice versa. But once I have all 4 of these tiles in, what I do is I butt them tight, and I've only been using 3 of them because I haven't fired anything large enough to need 4 of them in the last month or so. The door is, you know, it's basically the same structure. It's got some 2x members running, you know, to create a frame to hold back the insulation from falling back out, and then this is screwed to the door. It's got a thermometer here that I can look at through the glass, and you know, as long as it gets to 275, I like to hold it at 275 for about at least 30 minutes for my large pieces, because they tend to be at least probably a ½ inch thick in some areas. So that's one thing. And when I fire, I actually bring it up in steps. I start off at about 120 to 130. I hold it at that temperature for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. It doesn't seem real crucial, but I want to make sure as the piece is heating that the internal structure comes up to temperature at kind of a similar rate to the the external layers. So I do that in progressive steps, around 150, maybe 180, 220, 250, and then 275, just to make sure that I'm getting a nice even firing. And then when I'm done firing, I just turn it off and let it cool down in the oven for about 4 to 8 hours. So as far as the top goes, this is basically just kind of a box that I use masonite on the bottom and top, filled it solid with fiberglass insulation, just the type you get at any home improvement store, again, because you're never getting to temperatures that would even slightly melt the fiberglass insulation. Again, this is a prototype. I've been, you know, relatively happy with it, but this summer I do plan on building a, probably about an 8-foot by 6-foot by 6-foot, much more, with a lot of options. Like, I'm gonna have a rollout, a large piece of steel that will be on, it'll actually have rollers, so I can roll it out, and it'll be structural, so when it's out all the way out here, I can put a large piece on it, and if I need to, I could use a lift to put it on or whatever, and that way I can roll it back in without having to reach in and try to hold an 80, at present I fired 80-pound pieces in this, and they're very difficult to put in there without, having them get banged up. So there's, with this being, again, a prototype, it's got a lot of things that I would have done differently, but until I have enough time to build a new one, this is the oven I've been using. So you could certainly have one of these built by anybody who's got enough skill to work with a little bit of wood, some metal, and some basic mechanical knowledge. Thanks for watching my video on my oven, and hope you learned from it.